clothing used as bedding, sometimes used needles. Although there had been an attempt to make the bare concrete walls more cheerful by covering them with paintings of Picasso-like figures in lurid colours, Cora often thought someone could die down here and never be noticed. Today, it was the rowdy crowd, drinking cheap cider and knock-off spirits, leaning, or in some cases, sagging against the wall. Cora! Hey, Tiger. How are you? She smiled at the man who had pushed himself away from the wall and staggered towards her, ignoring the catcalls from the other men and women. You're up early. Keeping warm? He said, holding a can aloft. Pissin' freezing. Coppers moved us on this morning. Honestly, no bleeding hearts in 'em. Can I get you a coffee? She said. A bit of breakfast? Nah, you're all right. Bit of cash would be nice. Tiger. She shook her head. I know, I'd piss it up against the wall. He cocked his head to one side. Are you still looking for Ricky boy? Yes. Why? Have you seen him? Her heart leapt. He shook his head. Nah. We miss him though, don't we? He shouted out to the others. A general rumble of noise floated around the underpass. Tiger shrugged. Sorry. Can't help you. He's a good mate though. Find him soon, yeah? It's okay, said Cora. There are plenty of other places I can look. The familiar darkness settled around her head. She was never going to find him, but she had to keep looking. And that was the depressing thing, she thought, as she tramped around the city in the drizzle that was getting harder and colder by the minute. There were plenty of other places to look, even in a city like Norwich, which never used to have a homeless problem. Now it seemed to be everywhere. People sleeping in shop doorways, in car parks, alleyways, even by the traffic lights outside the station. And it was Martin, outside the railway station, bundled up in his sleeping bag, covered with old tinfoil, and lying on a bed of newspapers and used pizza boxes, with his beloved dog Ethel, who gave her the first bit of hope since Rick went missing. Yeah, said Martin, sitting up and accepting a cigarette and a takeaway coffee from her with trembling fingers. I saw Rick about 2 weeks ago, before I went to Yarmouth. Piss poor place, that. 2 weeks was enough. He hunched his shoulders against the wet. Cora nodded. That was the last time she'd seen her brother, when she had tried to persuade him to spend at least one of the freezing nights in a homeless shelter. He had a smoke with me. Told me about some men who'd come calling. What sort of men? Martin tugged the sleeping bag around his neck, trying to stop the rain trickling down. He shivered. You know, well-dressed, well-fed types. One of them wearing a suit, for fuck's sake. Looked like Mormons. Wanted to know about him. Cora frowned. God-botherers? Do-gooders? Or the men they were expecting to see? And what did he tell them? An early morning commuter tossed a few coins in the bowl that was always by Martin's side. Ethel sniffed the bowl, but turned away when she saw there were no tasty biscuits in it for her. Martin looked down, focused on the ground. He said he told him he had nobody, and he didn't want no help from no one, unless they had a job to offer him. There it was, the guilt that squeezed her, that had made her search frantically for her brother whenever she could these past few days, that had interrupted what little sleep she had managed to grab for herself. The argument she'd had with Rick the day before he disappeared. When she told him she was done with helping him. It was time to call it off. She was frightened about what might happen. It had started out as nothing, really, as many arguments do. She had sought him out at his usual spot behind the solicitors.